Hi, this is Dana, and welcome on my channel. On this channel, I speak about spiritual warfare, and in this particular video, God has guided me to approach a topic which I'm pretty sure is going to trigger a lot of people, namely sex. Many of us are facing a lot of attacks by sex magic being done for enslavement, for taking power, for harvesting energy, um, and so on. Uh, so, God has guided me to talk about this from a totally different perspective. So, people will understand because it is there is an effort to downplay this topic, you know, which is not necessarily to the advantage of anyone doing spiritual fighting. Now, practically, sex and anything related to sexuality, it is an artificial construct, mind programming. Practically, there is mind programming created through a specific type of attacks, black magic and sorcery attacks, and it is a matter of mind power, of clean energy, and high awareness in order to deal with this and to understand exactly how it's being done. These topics, all these topics related to sexuality, you will find, and I ask you all to research this, you will find them included in the tortures so torture that has been used in prisons, in communist political prisons, in Nazi camps, extermination camps, and even in Templars times. They went when they were imprisoned. They went through exactly the same kind of torture, and essentially at the time, in each at every these times, uh, the focus was to use sexuality as torture in order to identify specific um, energetic centers and sensations in human body, which can and how they can be accessed, created, triggered by outside forces in order to control that individual, which essentially leads to addictions. And of course, it can lead to altering the preferences, the sexual preferences of that individual. And this is, there are a wide variety of type of attacks which can be created on an individual, including levitation, hypnosis, and even long-term, for example, sorcery. A certain spirit can be attached to an individual, or demonic sexuality is created by demons being sent or attached to an individual, which can work on subconscious level for a long period of time, altering the perceptions, creating artificial triggers in the human body, and altering including the sexual preferences of that individual, creating addictions, and so on. Now, you can identify the type of sexual programming done on you through silent meditation, and please go watch that video, light body meditation, and uh, transmuting, doing effort, making efforts to transmute the sexual energy you identify in your body as not being yours, but being the result of either stagnant energy or projections and energy attacks and spirit attacks and dark magic. Please watch the previous video in which I talk about transmutation um, versus forgiveness, and where I give the explicit recipe for transmutation. Yeah. So this is how you will identify the type of programming done on you. This programming has started with focus on sexuality, has started through the Cultural Revolution, which has been focused on using sex as a symbolism of liberty, of freedom. And they started promoting sexuality in a very liberal manner. So it became very common in the 50s, 60s, 70s, the open relations and so on, which was not normal. I mean, if you just look in history, the practices now are not were not traditional at the time, were enforced through this cultural revolution, which, if you look at the timing, it overlapped with the political prisons in communism, which were using the same type of tactics, of strategies of tortures. And it came immediately after the Nazi experiments. And those experiments were essentially to create an Aryan nation. And the Aryan nation was supposed to be created by harvesting sexual energy from others, which is vital energy in the human body, in order to transfer it to those individuals who were supposed to be, this special race, Aryan, feeding on others, practically, right? And immediately after all of these experiments by Nazis, the Cultural Revolution started after the end of the Second World War, which spread all of these ideas. It's not a culture, it's an artificially created idea, um, and they started spreading it through movies, music, entertainment industry, basically. And it became so common, of course, after the internet, with pornography, with all sorts of sexual symbols, which do automatically subliminal programming on individuals. Right now, let's look at sexuality from a different perspective, from a spiritual perspective. And let's look at the symbolism of sexuality from a spiritual perspective. What essentially is sex? It's a way to transfer demons. So, through the sexual act, you can actually transfer demons from one individual to another, particularly at the moment of the climax. So that is the moment when your soul chakra is wide open. So attachments on your soul level can be created, can be transferred essentially from the other individual. Yeah. Um, uh, Again, there is sex is a way to steal gifts. So at the same time, the same moment of climax is a moment when somebody who actually has the knowledge how to do this can steal a gift from you, literally. And literally, I'm not kidding, can steal a specific gift from you. Okay. um, Sex is also a way to transfer karma from one individual to another, creating strings and so on, and making claims on the other individual. So that one who has negative karma, if he has the knowledge, then he will claim an individual with um, positive karma, and he will transfer the negative karma on the other one, right? It is a way to, in case you accept and opt for different specific practices, which involve a certain degree of aggression and so on. It is a way, or even rape, or different kind of rituals which are practiced. Um, it's a way to create trauma bonding with somebody, or to create toxic relations with somebody, using sexuality as a weapon in that relation. And also, sex is a way to take dominance over a different race by crossbreeding. So through sex, specific outer cosmos forces create crossbreeding, and can take dominance, for example, on the lineage of God. Yeah. So from a spiritual perspective, there are many other implications in a sexual encounter. So if you really look from a higher perspective, the sex magic which they practice, it's not so funny, and it's not something so easily to be ignored. They have a hidden agenda behind it. It's not just so stupid, uh, you know um, because I spoke here. um, okay, I will go with the notes I made. I wanted to change something, but um, in the current era, increasingly is being spread the view of sex as sport, as non-committal, as lacking emotional involvement, as a very liberal engagement, sex bodies, open relations, all sorts of group sex, all sorts of combinations like this. But in reality, science proves there is a direct connection between the sex chakra to the heart chakra, creating strings on your heart level. So it's not that non emotional as people want to present it. And this leads to another type of toxic relation, addiction, and I don't know how to say, even, depressions, because it is being presented like it should be non emotional, and then if you actually create an emotional connection, they will consider you, or they will bully you, they will intimidate you, they will make you feel less. But that is not because you've done something wrong. It is something proven by science. It's normal. Now, why can some people do this, and why can other people can't? Um, it can be entire sex can be entirely non-committal for those who lack soul. Okay, if they lost their soul, if they're fallen angels, they can do this as a sport, but it gives them access to your soul if they engage sexually with you. So for you, if you have a soul and you engage with them, for you it won't be non-emotional, it won't be non-committal. Okay, and why is this discrepancy? As I said before, because sex is a way to take dominance by one um, extraterrestrial um, race over another race, in our case, God's lineage, through crossbreeding, which is done through sex, obviously. I mentioned this a little bit in the video I made about Epstein um, network, sexual network, and human trafficking. And I explained there that this is not, uh, it is not true that these are just sexual networks and so on. God has shown me specifically there are extraterrestrial forces feeding from sexuality, from sexual energy. Some of them feed from sexual arousal. Some of them feed actually through sexual the climax moment. Others feed from the um, the from different moments of there are different specific types of moments in the sexual engagement, which generate different type of energy in human body, and they feed from each and every one of them. Okay, now these extraterrestrial forces are androgens who incarnate on earth as transgender, and as transgender you have male transgender, which is embodied in female body, and you have female transgender, which is embodying in male body, and these individuals, this race, yeah, which become individuals when they incarnate, they need to have this type of feeding, because the human embodiment, the female embodiment or the male embodiment, needs to be maintained, to be preserved alive, and they feed that embodiment through this type of sexual energy which they take from you. But they do this only to feed, literally to feed. It's not about sexuality, it's not about sexual arousal, it's feeding. For them it's food. If they don't do this, God has shown me actually different phases, what happens to them. They entropy, God says entropy. Yeah, so they go through a process of entropy. um, Literally they cannot stay alive if they don't do this, and their purpose again is to take dominance over the lineage of God, over the humans. And this is why they created all this agenda with cultural revolution about sex. They have been the ones manipulating humans to do all these experiments during Nazi time, during communism, during, imagine that this is very old. This has been done on Templars. So this was even during Jesus' time happening. And so they have influenced these humans to do this, and then they created an entire agenda, and then they directed all the industries to focus on sexuality, entertainment industry, everywhere. If you look at it, everything is sexuality. um, Even if you look at the body language, at the dress code, and so on, at language, and so on. Everything is related and directed to sexuality. And again, of course, many people can say this, oh, no, you're just too pudic, you're just too. No, I'm not. This is because their agenda is to feed on this energy. um, and now, of course, you need to make a choice in life. But if you are from God's lineage and you want to go home to God, then you need to understand the exact extent and impact of these practices. This is not for fun, from entertainment. And if you actually talk to an individual who is doing these stupid things, you will see that literally they don't really have pertinent logic explaining why they do this. You know, actually, for me, it's a puzzlement why a human um, will accept to engage in any kind of all these practices, and wouldn't they preserve their own purity of their energy, and live their lives according to a spiritual purpose. But in any case, there are many, and they feed from different type of sexuality. As I said in other videos, there are some who feed through sorcery. There are some who feed through necromancy. There are some who feed through um, uh, different other practices. So you have through spirits, through dead spirits, necromancy, through black magic and demonic possessions and demonic sexuality. And you distinguish between the type of energy harvested. This is why you have pedophiles, because those are those who feed only with specific type of light, very pure. It's not that, I mean, you really must understand it in its in entirety. I mean, and through all the targeted individual programs and attacks, if you look, most of them include sexual attacks. And it's not just they are presenting it like, oh, it's nothing. Maybe there was somebody who fell in love with you. Maybe no, the fact was not. These are hidden agendas, and they are trying to harvest vital energy, and they are being manipulated by forces. There are some imbeciles who play these roles without thinking beyond anything. They are the fallen angels who sold their souls and are working consciously with extraterrestrial forces, feeding from sexual energy. Yeah. So, this is briefly, in a nutshell, the idea of the concept of using sexuality in spiritual warfare. You must be aware of it, of course, in demonology and in spiritual fighting. There is the very well-known Lilith, who is the one who actually um, is focused on demonic sexuality, and there are many other demons and other extraterrestrial forces who actually feed on this. I'm not sure exactly. This is a very broad topic, and there are many things to be said. But God guided me at this point in time to just present, in a nutshell, the topic, to bring it um, to public attention, in the hope that, first of all, uh, in order to help those who are targeted to know that this is an agenda, this is a very legitimate concern. You can speak up and you can voice it out, you know. When I was targeted with this kind of attacks in the beginning, I actually I will be very honest, I actually, it was in 2018 and I was in my privacy of my own home, and there were spiritual astral attacks of this sort. And I literally went to one of the intel agencies in Romania, and I submitted official complaint because the one of the individual who was leading the group who conducted that attack was working for them. And I went there and I submitted complaint. And everybody said, "Oh, you must be crazy." I said, "I'm not crazy at all." They said, "How come you go to an intel agency to submit official complaint against one of their individuals?" They said, "Yes, because you should speak up. You shouldn't be ashamed of it, because this is a bullying, intimidating kind of practice, and they hope to be ashamed, that you will be ashamed to speak up about it." And actually, they did say this to me. That individual said this to me. He said, I said, "I will formally make complaint against you for trespassing my property. You are not allowed to enter even in astral space in somebody's home." And they actually didn't think I would go. So one of the reasons of this video is for those who actually are going through these attacks, to understand that it's not something um, that you should keep silent about. I said in my complaint, I consider to be a rape, because it's the same thing, like you do in 3D. If you approach a woman and you rape a woman on the street, then that is punished with a prison. If you do this in astral, then you should be punished the same, equally. You know, I consider this as normal logic, because this is not allowed. This is not allowed in astral rules. This is breaking the astral rules. And again, this is breaking the rules of engagement in astral and in spiritual war fighting. And this is specific to 3D. They feed through us. This is through this. This is how they created the 3D. Okay, so every time when they break the astral rules, each of us should have the courage and to speak up, because they are doing something illegal. And specifically on sexuality, that this is illegal also in 3D and in astral. So I think essentially that's the point. Everyone that goes through this should have the guts to speak up. Everyone shouldn't actually just treat it like there was just somebody who was making a move on you. No, actually, there was not. You should be focused on understanding who exactly is targeting you, who's feeding from you, and identifying the type of sexual programming done on your energy body, to clean it up, and to fight against all the bondages, the claims that were made on you, in order to empower these kind of attachments. Of course, cast out and heal all the demonic and spirit attachments and so on, in order to clean up your energy. And I promise you that if you do this, the silent meditation, light body meditation, and transmuting process, I promise you that you will witness yourself how these are artificially created reflexes in your body, by linking the specific thought with a specific type of emotion, which was not your choice. This is something artificially done on your energetic body. And I will stop here because the video is already too long. And if I get guidance from God to speak on this topic further, I will do it in a different video as well. If you have any questions about this, please don't hesitate to ask me. Um, as always, I would be happy to answer all the questions. And at the same time, please like and subscribe to the channel, so we'll make sure that the information reaches those people who um, need the spiritual guidance that I'm sharing here. God is actually pointing out to me that the purpose for which He asked me to make this video and upload it at this time is in order for others to take the research further, especially those who are knowledgeable in spirituality, to take the research further and to um, obviously create the mechanisms in order to um, first of all to raise awareness among people to understand what is going on, why this is happening. I mean, and I will say one more thing, which is not from God, but is something that I am very passionate about. You have, for example, in India, very widespread rape, women being raped, very widespread as a criminal activity. And this is a consequence of this type of astral attack, sexual attack, because they keep doing this in astral and they program mentally those men to conduct rape, first of all. Second of all, they conduct rape on women because it's the trauma bonding and all these reasons why, which I said, the dominance over the race and altering the purity of the woman, and not only the purity, but it's about trauma creation, which will of course block the process of creation for that woman and whoever is in a couple with. Okay, I will stop here, and I do hope that whoever is called to or feels called to will take this research further and will create the mechanisms for in order to stop this madness, and at least make sure raise awareness in such a way so people who actually do make a choice to do this stupid stuff to understand and fully what is going on, um, and to make a choice by free will. Okay.